As for the third frequently asked question and the final one that we're going to mention, how often should we advise people? You might know someone who sins over and over and over again, and does that mean you need to be advising them over and over and over again? Is a very important question, because the answer is no. Imagine if you advise someone over and over again. Do you think that they're going to be like, oh, Jazakallah khair, every single time, every single day you say to them the same advice, Jazakallah khair, Jazakallah? No, they're going to stop listening to you. They're going to start avoiding you. They're going to start running away from you. And that's why Imam Ahmad radiallahu anh, he said, تسعة أعشار حسن الخلق في التغاضي عن أخطاء الآخرين. 9/10, 90% of good character is overlooking people's faults. 90%. Meaning when you interact with people, you overlook 90% of their faults and you treat them as a normal human being that you love, and you build rapport 90% of the time, and only 10% of the time do you deliver advice. Do you know why that's the case? Because it is actually a condition for delivering advice, that you know that your advice will make the situation better for you to make that advice. If you know that your advice is going to push someone away and it's not going to have any effect whatsoever, you don't need to advise. Sadly, people think, oh brother, I have to advise. This is my duty. Yes, it's your duty, but the condition is that your advice needs to make the situation better. And so that's why 9 out of 10 of times when you deal with your friends, your family, your colleagues at work, disbelievers that you met at school, at university, whatever it may be, you must overlook 9 out of 10 of their faults and advise them 10% of the time. So you spent 90% of the time building rapport, building a relationship, and then you give them advice sparingly like that. And so again, to summarize, if you want to deliver advice, it is a condition that you know that your advice will bring them closer to the truth, closer to goodness, and not away from it. Otherwise, if you do keep advising all the time, then people are going to distance from you. If it's your parents that you're advising, they'll become angry at you, which is very bad. And eventually no one is going to want advice from you, which will make you an ineffective caller to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is the last thing that you want. Hopefully that is clear. And so you need to assess, who am I about to advise? Okay, how have I been with them recently? Have I been a bit too much on them? Have I strained them a bit too much, given them too much advice recently? Okay, I'm going to overlook this. I'm going to give it some time. And then you ask yourself the question, are they in a good place with our relationship? Like, have I angered them recently? Do they respect me in this current moment in time? Have I been good to them? Have they been good to me? Once you ask yourself these questions and the person is in a good mood and you've not advised them too much and they feel relaxed around you, advise. Otherwise, don't advise. And know that if you choose not to advise because you answer those questions in a specific way, know that the Prophet ﷺ said, من رأى منكم منكرا فليغيره بيده فإن لم يستطع فبلسانه فإن لم يستطع فبقلبه وذلك أضعف الإيمان. Whoever amongst you sees evil, let him change it with his hand. If you see badness, advise. If he cannot do so, then with his tongue. Advise if you believe that you can make something better. But if he cannot do so because you've identified that if you give advice it's going to push them away, then with your heart, and that is the weakest form of Iman. You see, our deen is beautiful if only we saw it that way and we understood it to that depth as well. SubhanAllah.